Hey guys, it's Crystal from livingwithgastroparesis.com and it's FAQ Friday. So today I want to answer a question that I get all the time. People write to me and they'll say, I'm following a gastroparesis-friendly diet, but I still have symptoms. Should I keep eliminating food until I feel better? My short answer to that is no. But let me explain why that's the answer, and then I'll give you some tips for better managing your symptoms. So when we're diagnosed, most of us, the first thing that we focus on is the diet. And that makes sense because our symptoms are typically related to what we eat. So modifying the diet in order to manage symptoms makes sense. The problem with focusing solely on diet is that changing the diet really doesn't cure the problem. And when we expect that changing the diet will eliminate symptoms, we can get ourselves into trouble. So let me explain this a little bit more. Remember back when you had your gastric emptying scan, that 2 or 4 hour test that the doctor did to diagnose you with delayed gastric emptying. You were fed a gastroparesis-friendly meal. It was low in fat, it was low in fiber, and it was a small meal. You emptied that GP-friendly meal slowly. That's why you were diagnosed with gastroparesis. So your stomach empties, its baseline is slow. So the diet, following a GP-friendly diet, is not going to change that baseline. It's not going to make your stomach empty any more quickly than it does kind of naturally, right? What it will do is prevent it from emptying more slowly than that. So dietary fat, dietary fiber, those slow down digestion, they slow down gastric emptying in everybody, even healthy people. That's why you'll hear a lot of times advice for dieters is to eat more fiber. It's because it makes people feel fuller longer, so they eat less, because it takes longer for a high fiber meal to leave the stomach in everybody, not just people with gastroparesis. So for those of us with GP, when we minimize the fiber in our diet, when we decrease the fat in our diet, basically what we're doing is allowing our stomachs to empty as close to that baseline as possible, as close to the already slow emptying, but not any slower. And that's a really important distinction because a lot of times I'll hear people say, eat less fiber and that'll speed up your emptying. It won't speed up your emptying, it'll just keep your emptying from being even slower, okay? So in that respect, diet is a symptom management tool, and I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind. Modifying the diet is a way to manage and minimize symptoms, but in the vast majority of cases, it won't eliminate symptoms because you're still going to have that delayed gastric emptying, which is why you were diagnosed with gastroparesis. So certainly the gastroparesis-friendly diet is important. I wrote a book about it. And certainly I encourage you to follow a gastroparesis-friendly diet and to figure out the foods that make you feel your best and the eating patterns that make you feel your best. But when you continue to eliminate foods from your diet, when you continue to restrict and restrict and restrict, there comes a point where you're no longer getting symptom management benefit out of it, okay? There comes a point where further restricting your diet isn't really getting you anything in terms of symptom management. What you risk at that point is malnutrition. And then you really get yourself into kind of a catch-22, okay? Because our body needs nutrients. We need vitamins and minerals to properly digest and absorb our food. So, for instance, all the B vitamins, those are super, super important for digestion. They all play a role in adequate and healthy digestion. When we start becoming deficient in those vitamins, it makes digestion more difficult. It makes things work less efficiently, less effectively. So we're doing ourselves a disservice. Also, certainly malnutrition and vitamin and mineral deficiencies, they can cause a whole host of other health issues. And a lot of times what people think is a progression of gastroparesis, or sometimes when you have GP, it seems like you just have horrible luck, because once you've had GP for a while, it kind of seems like you're getting, diagnosis after diagnosis and new symptoms and kind of all of this stuff going on. And a lot of that, in a lot of cases, is probably due to vitamin and mineral deficiencies, malnourishment. And you can be malnourished at any weight, by the way. So weight is not a good predictor of whether or not you are properly nourished. So when we restrict our diet to the point where we're not getting adequate nutrition and adequate nourishment, we're really doing ourselves a disservice. And so I think it's important to realize that diet is one part of a gastroparesis management plan, just one part, okay? A comprehensive symptom management plan for gastroparesis involves all kinds of things. So it's medical management, and whether that means over-the-counter remedies, whether that means prokinetic medication or antiemetic medication, whether it's procedures like Botox, or in my case, the gastric neurostimulator, whether that means complementary medicine like acupuncture or hypnotherapy or massage therapy, holistic supplements like ginger or peppermint, DGL for heartburn, Iberogast. That's all part of appropriate complementary and medical therapies. There's also, of course, diet, right? What we eat is a part of a comprehensive management plan. How we eat is also important. Slowly, calmly, in a relaxed environment, that matters, okay? That allows your nervous system to focus on digestion, okay? Chewing, that's a big part of how we feel, is how well we chew our foods. I guarantee you, if you make a point to chew every single thing until it's a liquid, you will notice a reduction in some of your symptoms. Nutrition, we talked about, that's a big part of symptom management. Supplementation, to ensure that you are getting adequate nourishment and that you're not at risk for these vitamin and mineral deficiencies that are going to make it more difficult for your body to function properly. Physical activity. You guys know I'm a huge fan of walking for gastroparesis management, but any kind of physical activity that works for you. Usually it's mild to moderate. It's longer and slower instead of more kind of intense exercise, which you might have been used to before you had gastroparesis. On the flip side, rest, sleep. Those are also really important for your body to rest, to repair, to recover. Stress management. That's a huge part of gastroparesis management that most of us don't pay enough attention to. And a healthy attitude. That is also part of managing your symptoms. And so all of these things together, all those things I just listed, those together make up a really effective, comprehensive symptom management plan. If you're only focusing on one of those or two of those, you're really not going to get the best benefit. You're really not going to get the best symptom management, because when you put all of those things together, that's when you really notice a change in your symptoms. That's when you really notice an improvement in your quality of life. So I want you to pay attention to more than just diet. And if right now you're solely focused on diet, I want you to start looking into those other aspects of symptom management and adding those in to your symptom management plan. If you don't have a symptom management plan, if you would like to build a symptom management plan, I invite you to join us for the Living with Gastroparesis group program. It starts on Monday. It's the last one of the year. I do not know when the next one will be available. And we focus on every single one of those things that I just listed off. We have really super in-depth 90-minute classes going over every single one of those aspects of gastroparesis management. And by the end of the program, you have a comprehensive plan. So it's not just about diet, it's about all of those things. So last time I checked, there were a couple of spots left. If you're interested in building a gastroparesis management plan and doing it in a positive, empowering, friendly environment, check that out and sign up. And if you need to know more about the gastroparesis friendly diet, of course, check out eatingforgastroparesis.com. And come over to my Facebook page at facebook.com/livingwithgastroparesis, and let's talk about what's working for you in terms of symptom management. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it gave you a little bit more insight into the purpose of a GP-friendly diet and the limitations of a GP-friendly diet and what you can do to live well with gastroparesis. And if you liked the video, if you thought it was helpful, please click the like button, please share it, and I will see you again next week for another FAQ Friday.